a lot's been happening in South Africa for the last few months. A lot of it's been driven by land expropriation without compensation. It's brought up a lot of anger. It's brought up a lot of resentment. It's given a very strong focus for people who have not been able to change their own lives. People who are born into poverty, who are stuck in the cycle of poverty. They now have a nice, clear direction of someone to blame. However, a lot of the stuff that's been happening is stuff that maybe the government leaders and the public speakers who've been promoting land expropriation without compensation didn't really take into account, which is that public unrest is increasing a lot in a number of ways. But the biggest thing that's been happening very frequently is protests. Most of them are violent. Most of them involve blocking roads, destroying public property, destroying private property, burning tires, putting logs across the road, trying to dig ditches across roads, things like that. In the last, let's say, maybe 2 months, there has been protesting in the local area around where I live, in a 100-kilometer radius. It's been pretty much every week, sometimes every day, for days on end, where there's a protest happening somewhere, where you have to change your travel plans accordingly, where you have to cancel your plans for an entire day because you can't get to where you need to go to. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with protesting. Obviously, the way that it's being done is maybe not the best way. So let's take a moment to look at both sides of what's happening here. So on the one side, you have the people who are doing the protesting. These are people who are angry, they're fed up, they're frustrated. They don't know how else to change their circumstances because their public leaders, their ward councillors and things like that represent them on the municipal and national level are simply not doing their jobs in a lot of these cases. A lot of the time, the officials who take on public positions, who are supposed to look after communities and make sure that service delivery is happening effectively, that people are getting what they need, it's just not being done. A lot of the time you end up seeing that these public officials, these public leaders, have very nice cars and very nice houses, and they do a whole lot of stuff on the public account. So, yeah, people are angry. And, yeah, people are burning tires and, in some cases, getting violent with other people. And it's understandable, because it's for those people who are in that position, they're at a point where what else are we supposed to do? The people who are supposed to represent us are not doing that. We do not have a voice to speak anywhere to say that we are not getting what we need. And I'm not agreeing with the approach. I am showing how it's happened, why people are feeling that they need to go there. Maybe there are other platforms available. At this point in time, trying to get help from the government in South Africa, going to your municipal offices, going to public leaders and stuff, it doesn't have an effect. It doesn't matter who's going. I can't even get a passport renewed because the municipal offices are in such a shambles. Yeah, kids can't get their ID books. It's a shambles. Well and truly, things are not working the way that they're supposed to. I know that some municipalities are very good, but especially here, where I am, no one cares about what position you're in. No one cares about trying to help you to get what you need. So, yes, people are protesting. Now, on the other side of the coin, if we look at the people who are in these public positions, the public officials who are supposed to be acting on behalf of the public interest and are not doing so, yes, of course, there are some who are doing their best, who are doing whatever is in their power to help people. So let's not discount those people. However, as a whole, that is not the case. So what does it take to get to that point within yourself where you are only looking out for number one, where your motivation to do well, to do your job well, is non-existent, where you are essentially just milking whatever position you're in? Well, I know that I have a tendency towards selfishness. I have a tendency towards laziness. I have a tendency towards wanting to just take what I can get, make the most of it, and screw everyone else. I've had those thoughts before. I've been there. I've lived that. So we all have that in us. The way that I see it, it's about what are we feeding within ourselves? Are we feeding that part of ourselves, or are we feeding the part of ourselves where we stop and deliberately take a moment to consider how our actions affect other people, how our actions could make someone's life better or worse, how our actions could even make someone else feel, how it could affect their day, how it could affect their life in a tangible way. And that's not something that we can point at government officials and say, yeah, no, they're corrupt crooks, they're criminals, they're lazy, they're this and they're that, because we all have that in us. We all have those traits, and sometimes they come out, and maybe for some people they hardly ever come out, and for other people they only come out in certain situations, but it's a part of our nature, let's call it. However, it's up to us to choose if we nurture that part of our nature. Now, the next point is, okay, well, this is the situation. Now, what do we do about it? At the moment, what I see as one of the most important elements that needs to be explored is education. Not education in the sense of high school and senior primary and getting a degree and things like that. I'm talking about real practical life educational stuff, like what does it mean to care about other people, and why does that benefit us? For those people in those public positions, why should they take pride in the work that they are doing? And yes, I'm categorizing that under education because it's something that we have to learn how to do. And for the people who are in those disempowered positions, education is key, because we have to empower each other to empower ourselves. Meaning that if we help other people develop skills and knowledge and real practical information that they can actually do things with in the real world, not just maths and science and biology and that kind of stuff that you can't actually do anything with. I'm talking about practical real world information, including things like healthcare and basic things like hygiene, sanitation. That is the kind of education that needs to be pushed more, especially in a context like South Africa, because the people who are disempowered living in poverty, they do not have access to sometimes even knowing that there are better ways to go about doing things. And they have no means with which to find that out on their own most of the time. So that is where solutions, practical educational solutions, need to be developed and implemented on a large scale. That is my suggestion and my idea. And how to practically do that? Well, you know what? At this point in time, we can't count on the government to do it. I'm more and more feeling that us as individuals need to come together and start putting forward different plans that can be tested out on a small scale. And then maybe if we find things that work, we can promote them on a larger scale and then possibly get the government involved. Though by then, who knows if that would be a good thing or a bad thing. But in any case, that's that. All right. Thank you for watching. If you want to be part of the conversation, or if you have any questions, anything like that, leave a comment or send a direct message. Thank you very much for watching, and you will see me next time.